Hey guys, it's Helen Hartsmith here again from the Heart of the Witch's Path YouTube channel. I have a special video for you today. Can you guess what it's involving? This is your big hint here. Look, there's yummies, there's cans, there's bags of goodies. I'm bringing you a very special edition with this video of companies that I love. Let's get started. So, I want to welcome a dear friend to the channel. Everybody, this is the wonderful, the talented, the yummy Lisa. Say hi to the peeps.
Hi.
So Lisa is the owner and creator and all-around goddess of a lovely company called Kreations. So, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here.
Yep.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, what your company is?
Well, I am first and foremost, a kitchen witch, obviously. So I make jams and jellies and salsas and syrups and all kinds of tasty treats and Ayurvedic teas. I'm also a healer. I've done this my whole life. I make body care products that are all natural and mostly super safe for sensitive skin because we've got littles and we've got everybody with all the allergies and stuff. I've just always been in the kitchen, like since I was little, and I really enjoy it. And I am blessed with the gift of being able to like taste something and recreate it, or
Yes,
like when we've
for
gone
sure.
wine, like when we've done wine tasting, and
Yes.
taste the wine and said, I wanna cook and make this and what have you. And I started this business back in 2010 when my husband was going to school. My oldest daughter was here with her 2 kids at the time. She was going to school. My youngest, of course, was in school. And we had moved here from Las Vegas. We're not from Nevada, or we're not from Michigan. And, well, at least I'm not. I'm a West Coast girl. And we needed some extra money because of the fact that unemployment was running out and student loans only went so far. And he had gone back to school because we moved out here because this is his family's home. It's been in his family for like 100 and some years. I figured it out today. I think the house is like about 140 years old. So we moved here because we knew that we had family and support. And we invited some mutual friends that we actually have over for dinner. I don't know if I can name them or not.
And let's keep their name. Let's protect the innocent.
Right. Well, at least half of them are.
Right.
And we invited them over for dinner a few times. And I was making pineapple salsa because my family wanted Mexican food, because you live in Las Vegas for almost 20 years and you learn how to make Mexican food. And so I made pineapple salsa, and we had, ribs and some other, I think we'd done like Mexican fiesta too, because I cook authentic Mexican food. And he looked at me and he says, my God, nobody cooks like this. And he says, I really think that you could sell this. As he's sitting there with the tub of it, and him and Jason have it between them, and they're like, yeah,
this is mine, get away.
They're not sharing it.
Right.
So I said, well, you think so? And he said, yeah. And so they gave me a spot on their table at the farmer's market, and I whipped up a batch and I had it fresh packed. And I whipped up a batch of pineapple salsa, and we took it down there, and I put out some little sample cups with chips, which you should never put the chips in the salsa because they get soggy. And we sold out of all of it, and I was stunned because the only thing I had ever done was can it for everybody, or people would go buy the ingredients back home, and then I would can it, and we would have it through the winter.
Right.
And that just kind of started it all. And I can make salsa all day long. So I was like, well, damn, you know, I've got, and then I started making jam again because all the store-bought jams were so sweet and they were really yucky, and we had been gifted about 25 pounds of strawberries, and yeah, we had 2 small kids, but what do you do with 25 pounds of strawberries? Well, you
Make
try
jam.
to make some jam, you know. And so I did, and I don't even remember how I got started making jam, because I had made jam really long time ago, but it was always freezer jam.
Mm-hmm.
My regular cooked jam was not usually real stellar, shall we say. Not marketable, that's for sure. They ate it because they loved me. I was really good at freezer jam, but it's just too sweet. So I started playing around and listened to some older ladies, some really wise women around in the community, and
that's where the best cooking and canning and crafting ideas come from.
I pulled out my grandmother's cookbook.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled out my grandma's cookbook. It's like from 1938 or something, and that was her new one. And so that's what I did, is I went backwards to that, and then I learned with the science how to make it low sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, my sister was on the West Coast, was dabbling in some other stuff, and so we played recipes back and forth and stuff. So while I was doing it here 2,400 miles away, she was doing it there, and we were comparing notes, and we were really coming up with good results. And pretty much now I can make just about anything into jam.
Mm-hmm.
I currently,
hence some of the things we're going to be talking about.
I do low sugar jams. So all my jams are 25 to 75% less sugar. I do specialty jams. I do wine jellies, syrups, salsas. I can peppers in the summer, preserves, sweet and savory, a lot of savory stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's seasonal.
So talk about your how you're well, wait, before we get into that, give me a little background on your pagan path. Like what word do you claim to describe yourself?
Awesome. Badass warrior goddess. It's taken me a long time to get there and say that with confidence without being cocky and actually truly mean it, you know. To finally realize that I am really a badass, and I am an artist, and very, very gifted and blessed, and I appreciate that every day. I guess I've always been pagan until you pointed it out. I didn't know. Thanks. Yeah, I've always been a pagan. My mom raised us to believe in some sort of higher power and spirit, and to have faith that things will always work out, and to put good out in the universe, so it'll come back to you. And she called it the old man upstairs. And she let us all find our own path, and whatever made sense. And I had lots of questions as a kid, and beliefs that a lot of the traditional religions, especially Christianity, just didn't mesh. I knew there was something more. My earliest memory of one of my gifts, I have all the clairsenses, which I just recently found out they had names. But I've always been able to hear things, see things, taste things, smell things, feel things, experience things. Lots of different, I always try to say weird gifts, but you know, now that I'm part of a community that doesn't find them weird at all, it's
right.
You know, they're just, what do you mean everybody doesn't do this? And that's kind of how I grew up, because my mom had gifts. She always referred to herself as a witch. She would always say, "There's no beating 2 witches."
So how does your spirituality, your religion, your faith, how does that play into your products?
That's a really good question. I think that it's a gift, my ability to be able to think of something and know exactly how it's going to taste and what flavors go together and put together, and just be able to throw things in a pot and make dinner out of it. Apparently everybody can't do that. I didn't know that. It also is a means of independence for me. I've been a stay-at-home mom and homemaker for the better part of 35 years. And so I've been doing this almost 10 years. This will be my 9th year this summer. And service, feeding other people has always been something that was ingrained in us, and I think that was part of our spirituality too. There's always room for one more at the table, and the more you give, the more you'll receive, and you don't give just to receive, but there's no matter what, there will always be enough. You have faith, it will always be provided whatever you need.
So that being said, what's your major ingredient in everything you make?
Love and spirit. That's why my labels say homemade with love.
Right.
And a lot of times it's my escape too, because even when I lived in Las Vegas and I would start canning, you know, take over the whole kitchen. Nobody got really much of anything unless I handed them a jar. But it's my craft. It's a big part of my craft. It brings me peace. A lot of times I can do it and not even really think, if that makes sense. I can there's times like when I'm stirring jam, if I'm on a roll, I can make 6 or 8 batches of jam in a day or more. And by batch, I usually mean like 2 dozen jars at a time.
In a batch.
In a batch.
Right.
That's a batch. That's not a big batch, that's just a batch.
That's just a batch.
You know, like when I make hot pepper jam, I'm making that 3-4 gallons at a time.
Right.
Same with salsa, 4 to 5 gallons at a time. But when I'm stirring and I'm chopping and I'm just, you know, I have a system in that little teeny kitchen. And I can just kind of go away and stir away in the pot, and I can just, you know, it's a form of meditation, honestly.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being able to go out to all the different, I do a lot of psychic fairs and a lot of events. I don't do so many farmers markets anymore. I do psychic fairs. I do a lot of holistic fairs. I do a lot of, I guess, what would be non-traditional food venues. I love engaging with people. I also read. I'm also an intuitive reader. I do healing and spirit work, and I also read with the moon phases, oracle cards. So a lot of times I'll, you know, as I'm sitting there at my table, this is kind of a representation, a small one. I usually have a 6 or an 8 foot table. So
it's beautifully done. Because I just saw her last weekend.
And I usually just sit at my table. You know, I can sit at my table. I have a little spot here where you can come back and it's, you know, we're cozy and read, or, you know, I can do, you know, 3 8-foot tables too.
Right.
You know, I mean, it just depends. But I read, and that's something that I've always read people, but reading oracle cards and actually like reading people, you know, actually taking off that last block and ripping that out and saying, you know, look, you have these gifts. And, you know, I've had several people in the last couple of years really pushing me to
explore
be my best. Be my best self.
Awesome. So let's start talking about the products.
Okay.
So I want to start with what I got in here.
This is a warming tea. This is an Ayurvedic tea. I formulated this so that it will help anybody that has any joint issues, arthritis, sore muscles. It's really good for any kind of like high blood pressure. If you have any blood issues, you know, as far as like you want to detox, or if you have clotting issues or whatever, this won't interfere with any medications. It does not have any licorice root in it, which interferes with most high blood pressure medications and diabetes medications. It's also really good for helping to clear out your kidneys and keep your kidneys functioning. And so I had kind of all 3 of these issues, and I didn't really want to make 3 different teas since so many of the ingredients and things that are good for them that are really beneficial
kind of crossed.
Yeah, they crossed over. There were so many of them, and I'm kind of a scattergun person sometimes because I have a lot going on. So what I did was I just formulated it to where it hit all of those things. It's really good for congestion. You know, like I've had a lot of people that have been using it when they're sick, and it's really helped with that. I'm very well known for doctoring people, quote unquote. You know that. And now I've got, you know, like this line of teas that I'm coming up with as more people. It's amazing how many of my products have been inspired by my customers and my clients. hot pepper jam was a request. The wine jellies were a request. The fruit syrups, I made them for my kids, but you feed people and they want to do that. The salsas, I've done salsas for years, and everybody likes my Mexican food. The peppers, we started because my neighbor grows the peppers, and he grows most of my peppers and all of my tomatoes, and my daughter grows a lot of my peppers, and so we trade. He grows a lot of my produce, and then I process it and send it back to him.
And that's kind of like old school, you give and take. Oh yeah, because you're a community.
I barter a lot. I did a lot of Christmas shopping bartering, actually, going to the different fairs, and I was able to pick up gifts for everybody. And so I have elderberry dry tea now, and then I've got a lavender chill. It's like a relaxing, calming tea at night. And
this tastes great, you guys. I mean, there's like my palate is not refined. But there's
15 or 16 different herbs in the warming tea. There's a lot of ginger. There's turmeric. There's spearmint. There's cardamom.
Is there apple in it?
No, there's actually not apple in it.
It's apple.
It's fruity.
Rest.
I think like how we taste it is the orange peel. There's dried orange peel.
It's really good. So you sell this in a dried tea formula. Right. So these come in little 1 ounce or 2 ounce bags. 1 ounce or 2 ounce bag. $4 an ounce.
Yeah, my teas range in price from $4 to $6 an ounce, depending on which one they are.
So I feel like I should say that right now, before we get any further, and I forget to say it, you do ship.
I ship all over the U.S.
Right, and
I
so
have customers
I'm
all over the U.S.
I'm gonna try to reach this.
Okay. Oh, looky there.
Oh, wow.
She got a surprise.
I got a surprise. So here's Lisa's card, and so it has her information on it. So contacting you by email is...
Email. I have a Facebook page. My picture is my business card, basically, so it makes it easy to find. So I do a lot through Facebook Messenger. I don't have a website. That's just too much at this point. That would be too much. I'm just not there yet. I think I wouldn't do a website until if maybe someday I ever decide to do a storefront or like a mobile. I was also thinking, wouldn't it be cool if someday at some point I could do this like in a food truck?
Oh, fun.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that would be cool.
And I think that might eventually be the goal, because if I could travel around and do like hippie festivals, I have lots of events I'm booked out till I think like June at this point and part of July.
And is that all in Michigan?
Yeah, everything I've got right now is in Michigan. We leave for vacation the first week of July. I'll probably take some products with me. Whenever I go on the road, I always take products with me. But I ship to Nevada, California, Iowa, Kansas, South Dakota, Tennessee, New York, Minnesota,
that's where you
California,
have shipped
Oregon.
already.
Yeah, I have customers and clients that I've shipped all over. In fact, I've got a big shipment of stuff going to Washington and Oregon.
Okay. So I will
California the end of this week.
I will put her information in the description box. So if you're interested in purchasing any of these products, yes, some things are jarred or canned in glass jars, but this lady knows what she's doing, and it'll make it to you without issue. Okay?
Knock on wood. In 9 years' time, I've only had 2 jars break when I've shipped.
Okay.
So you're gonna probably hate me when you get it, because everything's wrapped in bubble wrap and tape, and it's all packed really well.
It gets there.
Yeah, it gets there. And I use flat rate shipping most of the time because it's heavy, so you can put more stuff in the jar. And I also do like tasty treats and stuff. In fact, that's what I was gonna have you do, because they're really good with your tea. So these are my newest product. This is called Gypsy Pops. I don't know if you can see them here.
There you go. Well, I'll insert some close-ups.
Right. These are a hulless, puffy caramel corn, lightly salted caramel corn. Now, I named them after basically my sister that I didn't know I was missing here in Michigan, and her nickname is Gypsy Hill or Gypsy Poppins, because she's her daughter grew up and left home, and she found she missed kids, so she went to nannying. So we call her Gypsy Poppins.
Ah, cool.
But these were named after her because they're a little buttery and smooth, just like she is. You've met Gypsy Hill.
Okay.
She did all my pictures at the wedding.
Oh yes. Okay.
And they're a little sweet. They're a little salty, a little crunchy. She can be a little crunchy sometimes, and they travel all over.
They got so they got a little bit of everything in them.
They got a little bit of everything. I sell them in 4-ounce bags, $4 each or 3 for $10. I have a lot of orders lately for bulk orders, so I sell it for a discounted rate per pound.
Wow.
You know, but it's a minimum if you want a bulk order. It's a minimum of 1 pound, but a lot of times it's in 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. Or else a lot of people like these bags too, and they'll buy multiples of them, and then I usually give a discount. All my stuff has discounts on it. 3 jars mix and match. Jams are 7 each, 3 for $20. That's out of 6. These are all 8 ounce. I do eventually have jams in 16 ounce and 4 ounce, but not at the moment. I don't, because I had run out of jars completely. Yeah. And pectin. I have run every supplier, every store out of pectin, like within a 75-mile radius. So yeah. So the salsa's 10 or 3 for $28, and you can mix and match any 3 jars, and then the body care products just have their own, and so does the tea. But I'm also I have people that buy my tea 8 to 12 ounces at a time, and so I give them a break. It's like, you know, you're buying it in bulk. You know, I appreciate that.
Right.
And that's the same thing with this. So I want you to try. This is also known as a really bad word that we can't say anymore. A lot of my friends have called it because my grandson proceeded to tell people at school and one of his doctors that his grandma goes around Michigan selling crack. So friends, we can't call this crack anymore because my husband actually got to explain to
the school what the issue was.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't tried this yet.
Dealer. So they're wholeless and they're really puffy and light and delightful, and they won't stick. We haven't found any that'll work yet that they'll stick to. But they're kind of addicting.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, you kind of have that look on your face. Everybody kind of gets that.
Oh, I specifically didn't try this because I knew we were going to film. Get with this lady and order some of this stuff right now.
Yeah, I have orders of that. I actually have to craft some more of it because I have several pounds of it that I'm shipping out this week.
7 pounds?
No, several.
Oh.
Several. I think I have like 3 or 4 pounds of it that I have to ship in the next couple days. So, but yeah, and everybody likes these size bags because they're like individual servings.
It's like munching stuff. You know, this is perfect for sneaking into a movie. Not that I would suggest doing that.
Right.
However, all right, so what should we try next?
Well,
because
I don't know. If you want, we have the savory stuff here. So this is a medium salsa, and my salsas come in mild, medium, spicy, and burn your face off.
Yes, she sent me to get some full jars for displaying here and such, and I saw the one, and it actually says on the label, "Burn your face off." So we'll get a close up of that one, and
my husband nicknamed that because he said, because when we were first taking salsa to the markets, the guys were like, well, I need something a little hotter. Because one thing we did learn is that the Midwest version of what's hot and spicy is really different from our version of what's hot and spicy.
So is it hotter or?
No, y'all are wimps in the Midwest, realistically. From where we came from. I mean, no offense, but, I had to learn how to make it mild because I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was medium to us ended up being spicy to everybody else. And what's hot for us is the burn your face off. Now this is really, it's hot, but it won't slam you in the face all at once. You're going to taste the salsa, and then it's going to bloom. Mm-hmm. And then it's going to bloom some more. And then about 10 minutes later, it's going to be blooming. So you're going to want, I did have one guy one time that he wanted it really, really hot. And it was really funny. So every week it was a challenge to get it hotter and hotter. And so it was like, we went from burn your face off to, I think we did one that was like burn and butthole. And then we did another one, which the final one he could finally say it was hot enough was we named it You're a Mutant.
Wow.
And
so
it was literally like half ghost peppers.
Are you? Okay.
And I take special orders for that kind of stuff, but I don't make it in like batches to sell. But I do have people that special order that kind of stuff, and I make it in fresh.
I'm trying to remember if I'm sure I've had your salsa. You've had numerous. You've had numerous gatherings here.
Yeah.
So.
New Year's Eve, and that's actually what I dump when I make guacamole that I know you like. Yeah, that's in the guacamole. Yeah, and that's another thing that everybody says is because most jarred salsa has, when you open it up, it doesn't taste fresh.
Right. It's got that salty. It's like a saltiness because I actually had dinner before I came over here, and we had salsa as part of the dinner, and so it's like right there on my tongue, very reminiscent. There's a saltiness that comes with salsa, and this is fresh.
This doesn't have that saltiness.
And the
saltiness comes from the chips.
Right, and there's a good, there's a mix of flavor. You can taste more than just tomatoes.
Oh yeah. It's all fresh stuff. And some spices in there too, and everything. But
and love and spirit.
Lots of love and spirit. That's for sure. Even when I'm cussing.
And one thing I'm pretty sure I haven't tried of yours is your pineapple salsa.
How have I known you this song and you never eaten pineapple salsa?
I just don't know. I don't think so. I know that the roomies had it.
I'm pretty sure you've eaten it in something because I use it like to make pineapple rice when I would make Indian butter chicken. And that's one of the things that before you went vegan and vegetarian, that's one of the things that I used to take to stuff, and I've used it to make like pulled pork, and I would put it like on with coleslaw and sandwiches. I make like a lot of times if you do kind of like I've made it in tacos before and burritos. I put it when I made nachos and stuff too.
That's good.
That's actually the product that started the entire
thing. Yeah, that's really good. So have you ever thought about doing like a recipe card? Like a recipe of the stuff that you make?
No.
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 Are you against that?
I don't give my recipes out.
Okay.
Or do you mean the recipe for the stuff or like a book?
No, like a book of recipes.
Yeah, actually no, I've never thought, well, okay, stop. That's not true. I actually started a cookbook, but it was a truck driver's cookbook cuz as you know, when Jason my husband used to drive over the road, me and my youngest daughter would go on the road with him for months at a time, and I learned how to cook in a 12-volt oven and a 12-volt pot. And I developed a lot of recipes and a lot of hints and stuff. So I started writing that cookbook. I never thought about printing up the cards here, but I've had lots of people over the years. In fact, this last year especially, I've had several people really bugging me. You really need to write a cookbook. You really need to write a cookbook. You really need to write a cookbook. But what I do is when I'm feeding people, because I feed people at my table, especially with the pineapple salsa, people are like, well, what would I use this for? Well, you can use it for Middle Eastern because it still has kind of those flavors. You can add a little to it. It makes pineapple rice. You can use it in, one of the best tacos that is really popular in this house, except for Jay, he don't like the avocado, is when I take and make shredded chicken and I use it with the salsa and other spices and simmer that slow in that. And then you shred the chicken, and then you take and you put some farmer's cheese or cotija cheese on it, and then some chopped avocado, not necessarily guacamole, but the chopped avocado with the pineapple salsa on there, and a little bit of onions and cilantro on top of it. And it's just, I'll go down to Mexican Town in Detroit and get fresh tortillas when I'm going to do that in the summertime and get the little baby ones for street tacos. Because that's what we used to eat all the time at home was street tacos. And we lived next door to a carniceria, so we didn't have any problems because they had a fresh tortilleria in there. So I could, walk over there and
get it all the time.
And so I tell people one of the things Jason used to do, which he does every so often, but he takes the chicken breast and fillets it open and pounds it and then puts this chili oil that I make in there and puts the pineapple salsa in, closes it back up, sticks toothpicks in it because he's fancy. And then he rubs it with some more chili oil and the barbecue rub, the sweet and spicy rub that I make, and then grills it.
Oh, okay.
I have another customer that's from Van Addis, he takes it and he puts it like a finishing relish over salmon. He grills salmon and he puts with it. I have other people that use it as a relish. In fact, making the pineapple rice was actually one of my customers that gave me that idea.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it.
Okay, so I really want to try this. Okay, so if you guys follow me on Instagram, a few weeks ago, I did a post of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I had. Well, the jelly was from this lady, and it was a blackberry Merlot jelly, and that is the bomb. It is the bomb. It is so good. It is so good. And I'm not a Merlot fan.
No, you're a Moscato girl.
I am a Moscato girl through and through. So why don't you tell us about, so you've got 3.
I have 3 wine jellies right now. I have a raspberry Moscato, which is, it's, the base is, it's, as you can see, the tester jar is just about empty. I have to actually crack open it.
Apparently I've touched my lipstick. Because it's all over my hand.
That's okay. That jar is going to be dead anyway. And that, the Moscato, because Moscato is a delicate flavor, so what I did was I had the Moscatos kind of in the background and delicate with that one. And then you have peach Chardonnay, and Chardonnay is a more pronounced wine and a more like a little bit stronger of a flavor. So the peach Chardonnay, and this one has honey in it, so the consistency when it gets cold sometimes gets a little wonky like honey does. But that one, the wine, is like more through the middle.
Okay.
You know, you can kind of really taste that white wine, but it's very much balanced. It's peach and white wine. This one here, you taste the raspberry, and then you kind of get that hint of the Moscato in the back, on the back of your tongue, and you're like, oh, that's not just regular raspberry jam.
Right. And yeah, then, that's really good.
And then the blackberry Merlot, as you know, the Merlot flavor is really out front. That wine flavor is really out front, and you've got this really fruity, tart burst of blackberry and tartness and stuff, because it's not super sweet, but it's also not like, you don't feel like you just drank a whole bottle of wine either. So that one, as you can tell, the taste is kind of in the middle. And they pair really well with cream cheese. Yeah.
Or peanut butter.
Or peanut butter.
If you're basic like me.
If you're basic like her. And, you know, the blackberry Merlot actually works as a finishing sauce. And this is the kind of stuff, like, so when you come to my table, if you're not sure what to do, I can give you the ideas. Like, one of the things that I did do with it is I made a beef roast with this. I took the blackberry Merlot, put it in a pot, and before that I had sauteed up some garlic, and then I put in some rosemary and the oil and the olive oil, and I put that with the blackberry Merlot, you know, and put a little bit of salt and cracked pepper in there. And then I made it like a, almost like a marinade.
Okay.
For a roast. And I cooked the roast in it and just kept kind of basting it in there. I've used it as the same kind of thing as a finishing sauce for some less than stellar cuts of meat, like steak, you know, or like when I'm cooking the steak, because I can cook a lot of things, but I don't cook a very good steak. I can marinate it, but my husband really grills. As you know, Jay's
the griller.
He's the griller. I either cook a steak, it's overcooked, or it's raw. There's nothing in between. But I can slice that stuff up and make it into stir fry.
Sure.
Anytime, or shish kebabs. Doesn't matter. If you want a big ass hunk of meat, you better either want a roast. Because if you want a steak, you come to Moffat's Madhouse, you get your steak, but Mr. Moffat cooks it. I just am the one responsible for flavoring it. So that's that. And then I have specialty jams too, which I make a spiced peach, which is peach cobbler. Another one that tastes like blueberry muffin. I have another one that's apple pie, tastes just like apple pie filling. Another one that's caramel apple jam. So this one here is spiced peach, because I'm, the apple ones, I have to make some more caramel apple, but the apple pie is done for this season. I only do apple pie when apples are fresh. The caramel apple, because it gets cooked down so much, and because it starts with this salted caramel syrup, well, not this salted caramel syrup, but it starts with a caramel syrup, I can use apples that are good all year round because it gets cooked down. It's more like almost like a
that would be so good. That tastes so good. That would be so good, like over ice cream.
It is. I used to have this lady when I used to do the farmers market. She was about I don't know, probably about 75 or 80 years old if she was a day. And she was the one who first asked me about putting jam in the 16-ounce jars. I'm like, well, sure, why couldn't I? So she wanted some peach cobbler jam, which we call spice peach. So I put it in and I made her, you know, I think she ordered like 3 or 4 jars of it. And so I made them and we went to the market. She picked them up. So the next week she comes back. She says, my dear, I need some more of that peach cobbler jam. And I said, oh, okay. I don't have any more 16-ounce jars, but okay. And she says, well, that's all right. And she says, I'll just take what you have. So we had this standing thing where every week I would bring her like 2 or 3 or 4 of these jars. So about the 3rd week, 4th weekend of her getting this, she says, I have to tell you, because I'm like, what are you doing with, you know, just out of curiosity, you must have a lot of grandkids or whatever. That's because I'm thinking that's a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Right.
No, what she says, well, I hope you don't mind, she says. She was from the South. I go home and she says, in my family, they all insist on Sunday dinners. And she says, I just don't feel much like cooking anymore. I like it better when I go to their house or we go out. And she says, but they always want dessert. And she says, so I hope you don't mind, but I've been taking your peach cobbler jam and I've been putting it in the pot and heating it up. And then when I leave here, I go to Bob Evans and I get like a half a dozen to a dozen biscuits. And she says, and then I take them home and I warm them up. And she says, I don't even use the oven. I just put them in a damp towel and put them in that microwave. And she says, and then I get some whipped cream and then I have to whip that, she says. But I get some whipped cream and I whip cream and she says, I hope you don't mind, but I passed it off as my own peach cobbler. And she was the most delightful thing. She's since passed on. But I said, sweetheart, what you do with it once you leave my table, that is up to you. That is your creation. I said, but I thought, man, that's really smart. And I've actually done that. And, you know, in a pinch, you can do that. And you can do the same thing with the blueberry jam. The caramel apple jam. I have one friend in Oregon. She orders it between 5 and 8 jars at a time, and she just eats it with a spoon out of the jar.
Oh, wow.
And she's not really good about sharing it. She lies when she says she's going to share it at the holidays. And then I have low sugar jam. So I have the low sugar strawberry here, and then this is berry burst jam. This is like a 4-berry blend, and it tastes a lot like just fresh summer berries. And I also have it in the syrup. And you'd be surprised at the difference in the flavor. This tastes like fresh berries, like they were just picked. This still tastes like a jam and they're still fresh, but the syrup tastes like almost like shortcake.
Really?
Yeah. So the syrup, what I usually do is for the syrups is you just grab the spoon and taste the spoon. Don't use it crack. You just want to grab a spoon. I got more spoons, or you can use these little teeny tasting spoons, and you just
put it in your mouth.
Just put it in your mouth.
That's really good.
Yeah. And then this here, this is my boozy salted caramel. So if you're a salted caramel person like I am, because I like chocolate, but I'm really a caramel person. Clearly. This is my boozy salted caramel. This actually started out as the basis for my sweet potato casserole. And this here it was a new product this year, and it has been incredibly popular. I actually kind of stunned at how popular it's been. And my girlfriend, she was the one that inspired it, because she was here helping me make Thanksgiving. And she says, oh, is that the next thing, your new product that you're coming up with? Because I had been talking about something else. I went, well, I suppose I could. I never thought about it. Now that you can use on pancakes, waffles, French toast, tea. I have one friend that she buys my tea.
That would be good for tea.
And she puts it in she puts it in the tea as a change up from honey. You can use it over ice cream.
That's nice. It's not super, super sweet.
No, and it's not super salty, and it's really
it's
well
nice.
balanced.
It's a good base that you can do a lot of different things with.
You can. I had another lady told me that she was going to use it to drizzle over like some turtles. She was making like some turtle brownies, you know, and that's why she liked it. It was because it's light. It's not that heavy, thick caramel, which we all like, but it's just, it's a nice alternative when you want that flavor, but you don't want all of that thick
in your
heavy,
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delicious. Okay, well, I feel like I've tried so many yummy things.
There's something for every part of your taste buds.
Definitely. And I've tried quite a few of your things, but I'm realizing now that there are many things that I have not tried. So I definitely need to try some other things.
I think at one point my husband calculated it, and at the height of it, because I had taken an 18-month hiatus, and I've taken products away that I no longer make, or I'll make them like on special order. Because I also do custom cooking services. Like, we have mutual friends that multiple times have called and said, hey, I just had 4 people show up from out of town. What can you do? Can you cook dinner? I've had friends that when they've been in the hospital or having babies or whatever, and I'll go over and cook or cook something here and take it. I've done events, as you know, through the years. I've done multiple events. So, I mean, there isn't a whole lot that I can't do. I do a lot of party stuff, not as much as I used to, but I still do in the summertime, party trays and stuff like that. So, I mean, it just really depends. I do a lot of special dietary needs too for people.
Yes, I've heard you talk about that before.
So that's...
And it's nice that you offer like low sugar
Yeah.
options and things like that. So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't taste any different. Well, it does taste different because it tastes better than most things.
It tastes the fruit.
Having, recently kind of upped my canning game myself, I appreciate I appreciate someone who's, playing around and making things that are healthier and things like that.
Didn't I tell you I gave you that extra canning pot that does what happened?
Oh, yeah.
But
yes.
you know what? And back in the day, I did have both canning pots going. I had all them other big ones. But with the back injuries and the knee and the feet injuries, and I can't really do 12, 14, 16 hours a day on my feet anymore.
Right. Because you still want to enjoy it.
Well, I want to enjoy it, and because it hurts too much now, honestly. And I'm glad that I have finally learned how to do things in smaller batches, like, the 18 or 24 jars. But I've also, like the other night, I was getting ready to go somewhere, and I usually keep probably anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds of fruit in the freezer at all times. I buy it in bulk. I cut it.
Get it cleaned up, ready to go.
Right. Measure it out. I'm not going to lie. Some of my fruit comes from Aldi. I like Aldi because it's non-GMO, and they're getting ready to switch to all organic.
Yes.
My teas aren't all organic, but I buy as much organic as I possibly can. But there's just some things that if I was to try to get them organic, I couldn't keep my prices as low as they are and affordable. And I think everybody should be able to afford good tea.
And that's some good tea.
And Ayurvedic teas.
Right.
And I think that everybody, and that's just like this. This was the first year that I raised my prices in 7 years. I hadn't raised my prices since 2011, which was part of the reason I had taken a hiatus, because it wasn't really cost efficient. And I needed to learn how to scale it back, and I needed to learn how to, this is where the spirit comes in. I was really undervaluing myself. And I never looked at myself as an artisan as far as my kitchen stuff goes. Yes, I paint, I bead, I sew, I sing. That part of me is artisan, but I guess I never looked at this as artisanry.
Oh, totally. Completely.
Yeah. And I was really undervaluing myself. So I did some research and to see what the market would bear. And my prices are actually really low compared to a lot of places that I have seen that do similar stuff. And the thing that I hear all over the state and from all over the country, when I, because we even used to carry stuff in the truck when we were cross country, and I would sell stuff cross country, is that a lot of my products are really kind of unique. Yeah, everybody makes salsa. People make jam and stuff, but it's the fact that my jams are fresh. They're not sugary.
Right, the low sugar.
Even my wine jams. I mean, those are pretty high in sugar. I mean, comparatively, but I mean, you probably wouldn't eat those every day. Although there are some people that's pretty much all they eat is wine jellies. And,
I didn't eat it every day.
No, I'm saying
I try to pace myself.
I'm just gonna say, if there's a jar of wine jelly in your fridge, 99% it's gonna be her that's eating it. You know,
I'm the wino.
You are, we will. Yeah, we are. We've been known to polish off some Moscato and some other stuff.
Yeah.
But that was one of the blocks that I had to get rid of, was not valuing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And not stepping into my own awesomeness.
Mm-hmm.
And being okay with it. And it's not being cocky. It's not ego, because I still feel very humble, you know. And I am so incredibly grateful for, you know, being able to do this. And it affords me to be able to travel, because you know what a gypsy I am.
Mm-hmm.
As I travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I was gone all summer, as you knew.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that helped me get through the summer of death, the year of death, because last year was obviously my year of death, was being able to be in my kitchen. I mean, even in my son's kitchen, you know, in his little kitchen in his apartment, you know, being able to cook for him and my dad and my grandkids and stuff was very therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I went out to my sister's, my sister that lives in Nevada, and she's 80 miles away, and so I would go out there, and my sister, my brother-in-law, mom, other sister, and three of my nieces and nephews of the four lived there, two of which at the time both were living there with their significant others. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and her grandbaby, my great niece. So that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there was like 9 or 10 of us there at a time, not including me.
Mm-hmm.
So she has a humongous kitchen, and she has a farm, an actual farm and ranch in Nevada, in southern Nevada. And being able to just take over her kitchen and say, Mom, I need you to do this, and, you know, my other sister, just stay out of the way. You know, Sister Nat, just go away.
Mm-hmm.
Just come in and eat. And the kids, you know, they were really happy that Auntie was in the kitchen, you know. And so that was very therapeutic for me, to be able to just go out there and to just be able to brainlessly, I mean, really, and I could, you know, and all I did was just rummage through the cupboards and the freezer and say, okay, I'm cooking, you know. And pretty much everybody
that's your gift.
And pretty much everybody just stayed out of my way. Yeah. And they knew too. It's really nice to have a tribe that understands that that's my therapy. You know, we went from there, then 2 of the days, you know, me and my sister sat in her office and we painted. You know, because I needed to do that. So I try to balance it, because my whole thing is balance, but removing the doubt, like the workshop I gave this weekend, which was stepping out of doubt and stepping into your own magic, because we all have magic in us. And you don't even necessarily have to call it magic. You can call it spirit. You can call it, you know, whatever. And it crosses over from all religions. I mean, everybody's headed to the same light. It's just everybody takes a different way to get there. You know, and everybody has gifts and everybody has talents. It's just a matter of getting out of your own way and working through your own shit. Oh, oops. Enough to be able to actually appreciate those things and about yourself that make you so unique, because you have all these millions and billions of years of evolution from our universe and our planet, you know, and everything has come together in a type of consciousness to coexist right here, right now. And your job is to be the absolute best human you can be, and to realize that you are a beautiful human and a beautiful spirit, but we have all this other stuff that gets in the way, you know, and it's trauma, and it's you know, all the stuff that starts from when we're a child, and we use coping and surviving skills, and we build up this false sense of ourself when we really know a lot of who we are and what's really in there, but we choose not to deal with it, and we choose to not work with it and feel that pain and heal that trauma, because we learned so little that if we had too much trauma or too much pain, that, you know, we weren't going to survive it because all of this was so overwhelming. And so it takes years sometimes to just peel this shit back. You know, like Shrek said, it's like an onion. You're like an onion. You know, you peel back the layers and you peel back the layers. You know, like for years I put myself into doing this and I didn't even understand and really know why. I just knew. The other thing that was really cool is this is one of the few things that I really have as far as in the material world that is really and truly and wholly mine.
Right.
You know? And that, when I'm looking at an 8-foot table with a 4-foot on the side, and I got my cards over here, and I'm ready to read for people, and I got all my full product line out, you know, or everything that's in season, because there's a lot of stuff that isn't right now. And people went in, and I've got basically 3 eating spots at my table. And, you know, people are like, well, I don't want to eat too much. I'm like, oh, honey, you just start at one end and go work your way down. I said, you start here, you have a little bit of lunch and a little bit of snack, and you work your way down, and you got dessert. And that's, I get every bit as much out of it as I try to give back. In fact, probably more. Sometimes I feel like I just don't give enough because of how much I get from it.
That's awesome. You know, and okay, you know what? I think that's like a really perfect ending point for this conversation. Cool. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I know I have, because I just like spending time with this lady.
Yeah, we haven't had a whole lot of chance to do that lately.
We've both been very busy, so
yes.
I'm hoping that things open up a little bit for me, at least, in the future. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it or learned something from it, then please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. It's in there somewhere. It's red. Hit it. If you have any questions about Lisa and her product line, feel free to put it in the comment section below. Or
I also do cooking lessons too.
Oh, well. So if you're in the mid-Michigan area and would like to connect with Lisa, like I said, I will put her contact information in the description box. So
you forgot to try.
Oh, well, guess what?
Guess what? Another one.
We've got it. We'll do another video because we didn't talk about the body line. That's okay. We'll save a little something for next time. Sure. So that's gonna be it. So thanks for walking the path for a little while with me, and until next time, blessed be.
Blessed be.